Welcome back to Sampstra Games, the place to find new strategy games, and today I've got something special for you. Today I'm going to introduce to you my top 10 games that are to come out in 2021 or beyond. Now I could just show you a bunch of trailers and be done with this video, but I think that's no fun. Instead, I'm going to walk you through why I like every single one of these games and show you some Let's Play footage. Now if any one of these games hits your fancy, you can watch my Let's Play for each one of these games. There will be a link for it in the description. Without further ado, let's go to number 10. Factory Town. Factory Town came into early access actually on March 2019, so quite a while ago, but it's an absolutely amazing game, so I want to mention it here. It's a game where you build, automate, and optimize your own village. So essentially you start off with a couple of peeps and you try to make them as efficient town as possible. And this game is so good. You have so many different resources you can build. You have food, you have items, you have equipment, you have conveyor belts. You're going to be using trains, chutes, pipes, steam-powered machines to move around. You also even get to magical technology, and your goal is to try to maximize the happiness and profitability of your people, and also to try to build as many resources as you can, because it's so much fun. You can spend hours and hours and hours and hours in this game. If you like anything like Factorio or any kind of game like that, then this is definitely a game for you. Kilta is an auto-battler, which means that you will not be controlling the combat. The combat works in real time, and all of the characters are using their own abilities and their own ultimate abilities once they can charge it up. You do have some of your own abilities that you can use in the combat from time to time, so you can have some control in the combat, but the main focus of what you're going to be doing is the game is really picking out your heroes that you want to use, and then giving them the right item. So essentially you want to try to combine the right heroes together so that they can get the best build, and you want to give them the right items which can give them additional abilities or just bonus to a certain type of damage. There's both magical and physical damage in the game. And then there's also range damage and obviously melee damage. The game is still fairly early. It just came out into early access on the 20th of November 2020, but it's already really fun to play, and it's exciting. I like the story, I like the character. Each character has sort of like their own story behind it, so it's not name and some art, and that's it. It really seems like each character is really built up, and you can also have these kind of interactions between the different characters, which is really fun to play and kind of add to the roguelike elements, because you want to play it again, you want to pick different characters and kind of see what kind of interactions they're going to have. I'm really excited to see where this game is going to go once it moves further and further in development. Urban Chaos is a roguelike deck builder similar to games like Slay the Spire. You know, a lot of the roguelike deck builders these days, they're all focused in this like fantasy world, and sometimes you just want to play something different. You know, maybe you're not a fan of fantasy, but you still want to play cool games. Or you want to play a roguelike deck builder, but you can't. Well, this one might be for you, because this one is set in a capitalist world. The game is played over 3 different columns, and there are 3 types of cards. There are buildings, henchmen, and workers. Buildings can be placed on a column and essentially usually giving you like a passive bonus, like a certain amount of money per turn or something like that. Henchmen are things that you can use to destroy buildings or destroy other henchmen. And finally you have workers, which can give you again some passive bonuses or money. Now what's really interesting about this game is that your goal isn't to lower enemies' HP or to lower enemies' money in this game, but instead to accumulate a certain amount of money yourself. Or alternatively, you can throw your competitor into death. Now the game has 3 different factions, each with their own set of cards and slightly different gameplay. Dead Age 2. Dead Age 2 is a turn-based, party-based RPG. The story is set in a world after an apocalypse where you're fighting zombies and your goal is, well, not to turn into one of them. The roguelike elements are a big part of the story because you can get a random set of characters that you're going to be playing with, you're going to have random quests, and mostly the enemies are kind of randomized as well. The combat is kind of like a Darkest Dungeons meets Final Fantasy. It's played between 2 lanes. You can have 6 combatants per side. There's range combat, melee combat, there's also some like blocking where the person in the front is sort of protecting the person behind them, and each sort of type of zombie or type of your character can have like some special abilities that you can use up. There's also a pretty interesting adrenaline system in the game. You'll be spending a lot of time also on your base, on either upgrading it or building new rooms in order to get all the right resources that you need, and of course exploring the map and fulfilling quests just like you would in any good RPG. Now the game is currently in early access and I'm really excited to see where it's going to go because I think it has a lot of potential and it's already a very fun game to play right now. Vagrus the Riven Realms. This is also a party-based RPG. However, this is one for those more experienced, I would say. And the reason for that is this is more of a grand view RPG and it's very story heavy. There are a lot of mechanics in the game. First of all, you're going to have to focusing on your camp morale and getting enough resources so you can just survive getting from one place to another. You're going to be playing as a Vagrus, or essentially a caravan that's traveling all over the world. And the game has two types of combat, turn-based and automatic combat. So the turn-based is very similar to Dead Age 2, where sort of each character has their own sort of abilities that you can use, and it's played in lanes, and there's also, again, melee, ranged combat, and things like that. The automatic combat is done to kind of speed up the game because you can have a lot of people in your caravan and you may not want to control every one of them. The game has a lot of hidden mechanics and if you don't understand them it can be a little bit of a difficult game, but once you get into it it's really satisfying. There's a lot of happening and it's really fun. The game focuses a lot, aside from the combat and the sort of moving around, making sure that you have enough morale, on trading. You're going to be moving from city to city and trying to figure out the right way to make the most money. Or you're also going to be fulfilling quests and trying to find new characters. Now the game has a prologue, so if you'd like to play it for free you can, or you can check out my guide, my longer Let's Play for this. Now remember, I do have a Let's Play for every one of these games, so you just have to look in the description to check it out. Going Medieval. Going Medieval is a game that's not out just yet. It's coming soon into early access. It's a game where you focus on colony building. So you start off with a set of characters and you're just kind of moving them around trying to find the right resources and you're going to build them. At first it's most like a house than a colony, but then you can expand on and create amazing structures, fortress and things like that. There's also real-time combat where you're going to be fighting off enemies and you're going to be making the right weapons, hunting animals and all sorts of good stuff like that. The game is very fun. I was able to play a beta, so if you want to see how it looks you can check that out. But it's not available to play just yet. Kingdoms Reborn is a city builder. It can be played as single player or multiplayer. It's kind of like if Banished met Civilization, I guess. You're going to start in a tiny little village and you're going to be moving through time as you're going to be growing your village into a prosperous city. So you're going to be moving through different technological eras and be able to build sort of different kind of buildings. The game has a lot of different production chains, which is really fun and really important in city building. And it's really focused on a lot of really fun details. For example, the houses look very different based on which biomes that are built. So like the desert house is going to be look different than, for example, a forest house or something like that. The game also has card elements. Essentially every specific time period you will gain an option to pick from a set of cards so that you can build that particular building, a woodcutter or a tower or things like that. You can also gain specific sort of passive bonuses that you can assign to your town hall, like for example getting extra money if you have enough fisherman places, or gaining extra money for each house that you provide beer for. There's also some interesting mechanics between the cities. You can kidnap citizens, you can steal money from different cities, you can also conquer other cities. However, keep in mind that there are no military units. At the moment, it's only just with influence. Now the game is in early access, but you can already pour a lot of hours into it because it's a very fun game. So I'm really excited to see how far this can move once it gets into full release. Field of Glory 2 Medieval. Field of Glory 2 Medieval is a game that comes out into full release on the February 4th of 2021. Field of Glory 2 Medieval is a turn-based tactical war game. You can play it single player, you can play it multiplayer. If you're playing single player, you can be playing a custom battle, any kind of a quick battle where you just kind of look through some historical battles that have happened in the past and you can pick which side you want to play as. Or you can play through a campaign where you have like a series of battle and some story decisions. For example, I played the Mongol invasion. There's 7 battles as a part of it, and then there are going to be some decisions that allow you to like change what kind of units you're going to be having, or Now, in the game, there's a lot of different units. You have cavalry, you have spearmen, you have archers, you have knights, plenty of different units to play with. The game is very, very fun. It has a lot of really cool mechanics that once you learn can really elevate your gameplay. There's facing, there's zone of control, there's flanking, rear attacks, range attacks, a lock-in melee so you can shoot at your friend, and all sorts of things that you'll know these terms if you've played war games before. If not, then you're gonna have to learn them to play this game. But it's a really fun game. I highly recommend it. If you like war games, this is a really, really good one. And you should definitely check it out. I already have a Let's Play for that because I was able to play it before release. But if you want to play it, you have to wait for the February, or you can check out the Let's Play and see how you like it. Ostriv. Ostriv is a city building game that came out into early access on Steam in 19 March of 2020, though I've been able to play it on this channel already before that. This is a city building game focused on an 18th century Ukrainian town, and it really focuses on your sort of management abilities and creative skill. It's kind of like Banished, but it's very focused on detail. What I mean by that is, for example, you have to build your own ships if you want to have your people go fishing, or you're going to be building your own carts that you're going to be carrying around through the city. Another big feature of this game is that men and women cannot do the same jobs. So you have jobs that everybody can do, and then you have jobs that only men can do and jobs that only women can do. And this is a really big part of the game because each sort of family in your town has their own income that they use to pay for food and other resources in the market. And typically, a family cannot sustain itself if not both of their adults are working. And the thing is that you're going to have a lot of places where you need men to work, but you're not going to have so many places for women to work. So a big part of it is balancing and making sure that you're not sort of overgrowing your city too much, because you're going to be looking and say, hey, I need 5 more men, so I'm going to build 5 more houses. Well, you can't do that because the 5 new women that are going to come with the men will not have a job, and now the family will run out of money and they will not be able to buy food. Now you can sort of sponsor them, but then you're going to run out of money. So this is really a big part. It's like managing this the right way. The game is also very, very beautiful, and there's a lot of different variety. The buildings will change when it's like winter and things like there's actually going to be snow on the roofs and things like that. So this is a very, very beautiful city builder with just incredible focus on the detail, and it's only made by a single developer, which is just insanely amazing. So yeah, if you haven't seen Ostriv, you should definitely check it out. The game that I'm most excited to come out in 2021 or beyond, and that's Spellcaster University. Spellcaster University is a game that came out into early access on the 21st of September 2019. Hopefully it will come out into full release in 2021. It's currently on a version 0.97, so I'm hoping, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And this is a game where you develop a prestigious university of mages. So essentially, the game has 5 types of magic. It has a light magic, dark magic, nature magic, alchemy magic, and arcana magic. And what you're going to be doing is you create your own houses. So you can create, like, for example, a dark magic house or a nature house and things like that. Or, for example, light magic and arcana house. And then you're going to be picking your students and putting them in different houses. Then each student that's sort of learning a specific type of magic will be giving you points for the type of magic. So for example, if they're learning a lot of dark magic, you'll get a lot of sort of dark magic points. And then you can use those points to gain new cards. And you can pick the cards to build new buildings or gain things like minions or monsters that are going to be moving through this university and giving you specific bonuses. There's also combat. The combat is automatic in real time. Sometimes the evil lord or the orcs will send you some enemies that your students will just have to fight off or die. Now, once your students graduate, you will get to see what their result in life was, whether they, became a really cool necromancer or whether they were just like a simple peasant, or we'll see. Some of them are more successful than the others, and based on their future you will gain a specific bonus. Aside from sort of building the school, you'll also be interacting with different factions. You'll have things like the Dark Lord, Adventurers Guild, orcs, and things like peasants and things like that. And you have to make sure that they don't hate you too much, because if they do, well, there might be some bad consequences for that. And all in all, you also have to fight against the darkness and try to stop the evil from, destroying the world. And one last thing, you could also use alchemy to create like a special kind of potions that give you certain bonuses. The game has a really fun humor in it, and it just is an absolutely amazing game. I love this game so much. It is just so much fun to play. I've played like 2, maybe 3 Let's Plays on this game already, and once it's come into full release, we're going to be playing it again because the game is just so good. I hope you enjoyed my top 10 games for 2021 and beyond. Let me know what are the games that you are the most excited to see. And you can check out any of the Let's Plays I mentioned. There's a link for it in the description. I'll see you in one of those Let's Plays. Bye bye!